to share my screen. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, fantastic. Right, we'll give a couple more minutes while we wait for some more people to join. All right. Beautiful weather today, wasn't it? Okay. All right. Okay, welcome to Jenny. Welcome to Hatang Karing. Thank you so much for joining me today. Wait a couple more minutes. Right, so in the chat, if you can just let me know where you're from, what suburb you're from, and whether you're a new student or whether you are an existing student or parent, whether you've been with Spectrum for a while. Okay, welcome Vinayak. It's a new student, and Vinayak is from Point Cook. Anybody else? Hi, Jenny. Hello, Sunil. Greenvale new student, Shanshiv, welcome. Anybody else? We've got quite a few registrants today, so we'll wait up until 6:05 before we'll just get started. What's everyone hoping to get out of today? Is there anything in particular? Is there a particular question? If you can just sort of type it out in your chat, and then we'll in the chat box, and then we can address it throughout when it makes sense to answer that question, or I'll leave it towards the end. A couple more minutes. Welcome, Allah. So you're a Pasco Vale new student. So which centre are you looking to enrol into? Allah, would that be Brunswick? Okay, I've got a few more people joining. So I've just asked, yeah, maybe Brunswick would probably be the closest to you in Pasco Vale. All right. So one more minute before we start. So I'm just asked for those who have just recently joined, if you can just type in the chat where you're from and whether you're a new student or whether you're an existing student. That would be great. So far it looks like everybody's fairly new, so that's great. All right. And what year level is your child in, Allah, or is that yourself who's enrolling? Your son. Okay, great. All right. Okay, we might just get started, and when people join, then they can just sort of join in on the conversation. Welcome, Prasanna, existing student, starting year 7. Fantastic. All right. Welcome, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me on a Friday evening. So my name is Toy Pham. I am the founder of Spectrum Tuition, and I am going to go through all the exciting changes that will be taking place in 2022. So we've been working really, really hard this year to make sure that the experience for our students is the best possible experience that it can be. And I'm really, really excited to go through this with you today. All right. So as I mentioned, welcome to everybody. So we're really excited to announce some big, exciting changes coming to Spectrum Tuition in 2022. So what I want you to do is to just get a drink, because we're going to be here for a little bit. Have a pen and a notepad ready to record any questions that you may have throughout the session. If there's anything that you want to just ask, you can just type it out in the chat. And we have Kaylee online. We also have Jenny and Stephanie, who are our franchise owners. Jenny's from St. Albans and Stephanie is from Oakley and Keysborough. So if you have any questions whatsoever, please make sure that you write it down or type it in, and we'll be more than happy to answer those for you. All right. All right, so how this session will be structured is we'll go through the new Spectrum tuition learning model, the new selective exam classes, some more information for parents, updated fees for 2022, and then we'll finish off with a Q&A. So the first change is our Spectrum tuition hybrid learning model, and we're really, really excited about this. So firstly, set another place at the dinner table because your Spectrum tutor is coming home with you in 2022. So for the first time ever, we'll be officially combining our traditional live interactive classes with our online video lessons. So the video lesson package will come part of every single Spectrum tuition enrollment in 2022. We've had some really great feedback about our video lessons, and so that's why we're going to make it a staple in our as part of our Spectrum tuition courses. So what does this look like? We have live interactive classes with your regular tutor, and then on the weekdays we'll be having corresponding online video lessons. So these will align perfectly with the classes that students will be completing on the weekend. And both approaches will use the same coursework material, which we have refined over a 20-year period. All right, so we're really, really excited about that, because what a lot of parents don't realize is that in the school system, the educational program is largely based on what the individual teacher decides in that particular day, right? So the problem with that is that there may not necessarily be a lot of consistency. This doesn't happen at all schools, but it does happen at a lot of schools where, you know, a lot of teachers are given a lot of independence around what they set for their students. And so what will happen is that, just say we're in a primary school, we might have a teacher who's been teaching year 5, so they've been preparing all of the lessons for year 5, and then the following year they will be assigned year 4 or year 3. So then what will happen is that they'll have to reinvent the wheel again and again and again, right? So whereas what we've done at Spectrum is we've got our course and we get feedback from our students at the end of every single term, as well as the feedback from our tutors, and then we refine that process. So then over a 20-year period, we have you know, the levels sorted, we have the pacing of the classes sorted, and it's all completely aligned to the current Australian curriculum. Okay. So over the years, we have been receiving feedback from our students, our parents, and surrounding schools, and you asked and we have been listening. So you have told us that you prefer face-to-face learning with tutors. So face-to-face learning is a traditional, familiar, and targeted approach. It enables students to have a dedicated ongoing tutor and interact alongside their peers in small class sizes. You've told us that your child sometimes forgets how to do the work when they arrive home. So our response is, let's make Spectrum lessons available on demand during the week to support our students. So these corresponding video lessons fortify the content that students have learnt in class. As I mentioned before, they directly align with our live classes. So if there's anything that your child may not understand from class, they can simply just go straight to the corresponding video for that particular week. Just fast forward to 2.1 and just watch that again and again and again if they need to. Okay, that just consolidates their knowledge from that class, because on the weekend we have very, very limited time. So we've got an hour and a half to get through the course content. Sometimes the work might be quite difficult for students, or there might be some disruptions in class that may prevent the tutor from being able to go through all of the content effectively. So that's why we now have that support at home so that students can access that content during the week. So in the past, the feedback has been that if a child or if a student doesn't understand the work during the week, both parents and students and child might just go on Google, or might go on YouTube, might go through, past books just to figure out how to do a particular question. But now you've got a one-stop shop. It allows the students to be a lot more independent with their learning. They can just go straight to the portion of the lesson that they were having issues with and that they need clarified, and then they'll be a lot more confident with their work when they're at home. So students don't need to solely rely on memorizing their lessons to understand content. They can now play, pause, rewind, and repeat video lessons as often as they want and at their own pace. Because, in a class, if they didn't catch something, then they can't really pause and rewind the tutor. They can ask questions, but sometimes, in a class, it might be quite overwhelming, and some students just might not be comfortable asking questions in class, no matter how much we try to encourage them to do that. Okay, so you have told us that you wish you could help your child with their work. So our response is we have more in-home support for our parents. So for parents who may have forgotten many of the concepts from school, maybe that might be due to different schooling systems, or you might just need to brush up on some knowledge to assist your children, because, you might have gone through a couple of years or a couple of decades without having done a lot of these school-related topics before, and so then the way that you learnt it might be different from how your child might be learning it right now. So, but you do want to help your children with their work. That's why a lot of parents do enroll their children into Spectrum. It's because they do care and they do want to make sure that they understand. So that's why these video lessons are not only relevant for students, but it's also relevant for the tutors, for the parents as well, so that it's an added support and to ensure consistency. So you can sit there and watch it with your child if they're really struggling, so that you can then clarify any misunderstandings if need be. You also told us that you want more flexibility for your child to attend catch-up classes. So our response is we are supporting unplanned absences. So if 2020 and 2021 has taught us anything at all, it's that plans can change in a moment. And I remember, we were all ready to go back to class. We had organized all of our books, and then all of a sudden, Friday night, we were in lockdown. And so then we had to just go back online again. And so then this means that your children will no longer need to miss any weekly lessons if they're ill, if they have to self-quarantine, or even if they have an unmissable social event as well. So, this is just a way that we can support that flexibility that you do need. So you also told us that you want more flexibility for your child to attend catch-up classes. So we'll be continuing to deliver the entire term's booklets. So all of our lessons come with weekly printouts, so weekly booklets. And so this past term and the term before that as well, we courier delivered all of our booklets to students' homes, just to make sure that if we did have to go into a snap lockdown, students already had all of their books, and so they could just grab them. And so now with some of our classes where we're back in face-to-face learning, students just bring their books along. And if we need to go into the snap lockdown, then you have them at home, and we don't have to worry about printing things out at home, because not a lot of parents, the feedback has been, not a lot of parents have printers these days. And so then, we provide that for you. And we also prepare students for the future as well. So students are constantly having to adjust how they learn during the week. So our response is that we help students learn to learn on different platforms. So our new dual learning package mirrors current online and face-to-face learning requirements in school and beyond. So this will help to further develop our students' ability to adjust and respond to the school's ever-fluctuating learning platforms, because schools will constantly be experimenting with different things. And so then if you're used to having this hybrid model, which also is taking place at the moment at universities, right? So you'll have video lessons that you need to catch up on before going to tutorials. So this will allow students to get used to that hybrid model. So what are the benefits to this? Students are accountable in class and then consolidate at their own pace and comfort. They will have increased independence for their children, providing a simple way to resolve queries, so they can resolve it on the spot without necessarily having to wait for the following week's class. And if there is something that is still outstanding, then there is a live tutor who can answer those queries on the spot as well. So we have more in-home support for parents who may not be familiar with current approaches. And there's also more flexibility with classes in relation to unplanned absences. All right, so we have some questions up here. So yeah, so feel free to leave if you have if you've got another engagement. We do have mock exams for selective school students, and we're going to go through that right now. And that's what we're going to go through now. So we have new selective exam classes to support our regular selective preparation classes as well, right? So every year we do have a mock exam, and the feedback has been that parents and students want more and more and more exam practice. So there might be some students who might already be quite ahead with their learning. And so what we'll be providing are practice exam classes for our students. So previously we ran one mock exam approximately 1 month before the exam, which was invaluable for students who attended. But now our new mock exam classes will provide students with more exam practice every single week, just like the real thing. So at the moment, this year, we provided, what we ran was a selective membership. So every week we would have a different, we would focus on a different aspect of the selective schools exam. So, 1 week we might have reading comprehension in the first 30 minutes of that session, which ran for 2 hours. And then the last hour and a half would be spent going through that practice paper, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to have selective exam classes, so you have more of these opportunities. So this will work in the following way. So in the first week, we'll have a persuasive essay, a verbal reasoning test, and a reading comprehension test, so a full-length test. And then after that, the exams are corrected on the spot, and then the rest of the session will be spent going through answers. And then in the second week, we'll go through creative writing, numerical reasoning, mathematical reasoning. Okay. Students will also get feedback from the persuasive essay from the previous week. And if there are any questions from the previous week, then the tutor can answer that during this week. And then the week after that will again be persuasive essay, verbal reasoning, reading comprehension, and so forth, right? Up until the end of the term. So here there are a lot more opportunities for students to complete practice papers to time. And then this will be done in conjunction with our selective preparation classes. Right, so the benefits of this is that you'd like to know how your child compares to others. So our response is that the exam correction will be done immediately and immediate feedback will be given. So following the exams, we'll be correcting the students' work and students will be given immediate feedback. During the week, students will have access to videos walking them through the exams, and we'll also recommend that classes be taken in conjunction with our regular selective practice classes. Because the feedback that we've gotten in the past is that students will attend our classes, which will take students from a year 7 level to a year 10 level within that year of preparation, that 40-week course, because that's the standard that students actually need to be at in order to be competitive on the exam. All right, so the feedback has been that parents will enroll students in our selective preparation classes just to understand the content, and then they might go somewhere else for exam practice. So here we're just keeping everything in-house and making sure that the standard is just as high. So how much will this cost? So again, every 2 weeks, we'll have persuasive, verbal, and reading comprehension test. Every 2 weeks, we'll have creative writing, numerical reasoning, mathematics test. And then every week, we'll have correction, feedback, and online support. Okay, because we'll be using the same tests from the membership for this course. So then there will be those video the video feedback. So the full price for 10 weeks will be $2,000. The discounted price, if you're able to pay on the first day, by the first day of the term, it's discounted to $1,750. And the super early bird, if you're able to pay by the last day of the term in advance for the following term, will be discounted to $1,500. The mock exam that we have is usually $375 for that, just that mock exam, that one mock exam. So this is, you have a lot more opportunities to complete these practice papers. Okay, so question has been, is this the same for the scholarship exam? At the moment, we're only running this for selective. Is very likely that in the future we'll be running the same for scholarship preparation as well, but just not at the moment. Are there any questions in relation to that at all? Okay, fantastic. All right, so the third change is that we're going to have more of these types of sessions. So more sessions for parents so that we can interact, so that I can tell you directly any changes, any news, any details of any programs that we have, so that you can ask questions directly. So the first change is that we have Scholarship Searcher. So the feedback has been, you would like to know what opportunities are available for your child. So we've created this online scholarship searcher. So in the past, the feedback, or well, this is a problem that I'm solving for myself, because when parents have asked me what scholarships are available, I've had to go to individual websites. So if it was Westbourne Grammar, for example, I'd have to go to the Westbourne Grammar website. I would have to find their little search tool. I'd have to type in scholarship, and then I'd have to then go to that page, and then I would then see whether a scholarship would exist or not. So what we've done is we've gone to the ASA, the EduTest, and we've also gone through individual websites for thousands of schools, both in Australia and the ones that use ASA, EduTest. So we also have some opportunities in Hong Kong and Singapore that we've been able to find. So what we've been able to do is we've been able to add it to a database. And what you can quickly do is you can select a state, you can select a suburb. So if you've, just choose suburbs near you, or you can enter a postcode, and then you'll be able to see what scholarships are available for you. Yeah, and you can also sign up to our free 5-week test preparation course as well. And then the details will be just down below. So if you're interested in searching for a scholarship, just simply go to scholarshipsearcher.com.au, and then you'll be able to search for a scholarship, and you'll see what opportunities are available. So what a lot of parents don't realise is that scholarships, a lot of schools offer scholarships beyond year 6, right, or year 7 entry. A lot of schools offer scholarships, in year 8, year 9, year 10, year 11 as well. So it's not just scholarships in year 6 and select entry exams in year 8. You actually have a lot of opportunities, and if not many parents know about it, then that's only good news for your child, who may not necessarily have to compete against so many students. All right, so that's Scholarship Searcher. Yes, we do preparation for SEAL programs as well. So that's our scholarship program. And so I suppose, something that a lot of parents don't also realize is that all selective, all scholarship exams are all built the same way. So if you think about it, all of these competitive exams have the same sort of components. They have the same components. So all of these exams will have a reading comprehension component. They will all have a mathematics component. They will all have a writing component, okay, either narrative or persuasive. They will all have a mathematics component, and then some of them will have a numerical reasoning or a verbal reasoning component, and then an abstract reasoning component. Okay, and some scholarship exams might have a general ability component, which will be a combination of numerical reasoning, verbal reasoning, and abstract reasoning. All right. So if you understand how these exams are built, then our courses will prepare you for any exam, right? Because we cover all of that, and we cover different types of questions in our courses. So we'll cover short answer questions, and then we'll also cover the multi-step analysis questions as well, which is relevant for a lot of reasoning type questions, right? So we'll provide students with that type of exposure, and also step-by-step on how to approach those types of questions. Because for a lot of students who prepare for scholarships and select entry programs, I mean, they're all very, very clever. And what will separate students is exposure to questions before they go into the exam room, right? So if you think about two different students, they're both A+ students in their respective year levels. One student's just been getting A+ all throughout their life, from primary school all into high school. And then you have another student who also is in the same boat. And so they both walk into the exam room together. Student A, who hasn't had any preparation but is a very bright student, might see an exam item for the first time, and then it might take them 3 minutes to answer that question because they don't have a strategy, they don't have a technique on how to answer it. They've never seen it before, but then they, given some time, they can work it out. But a lot of these exams, you need to often answer a lot of test items within a very, very short period of time, right? So often, especially with the EduTest exams, you have 60 questions to answer within a 30-minute time frame. So that's only half a minute per question. And so then if you think about student B, who has had preparation, they've had that exposure, they've had that practice, they've learnt how to approach this question in the most efficient way possible. So then they'll see that same test item, and then they have a strategy to be able to answer that question within a split second sometimes, or within 30 seconds. Okay, so then student A might be able to answer 20 questions out of the 60 with 100% accuracy. Student B answers, 100% of those questions with 80% accuracy. Even though they might not necessarily get all of those questions right, they're still going to outperform student A, who might naturally be more gifted or clever, but they just don't have that practice. And it's the same as any other thing that you need to prepare for. So, a race or a performance, you would never just go in blind without any preparation. Okay, so it's the same sort of thing. So yes, we do prepare students for SEAL exams. And the question is, if my child enrolls into the selective preparation program, will the mock exam classes be included in this program or separate? So these are separate. So that mock exam class, or the selective exam classes, it's a separate option because there are two different types of students who might enroll in those two different streams. You might have a student who just needs to learn the content, and then they might enroll in the exam classes afterwards, or you might have a student who just, they don't really want the preparation classes, they just want to do mock exams, right? So they're two different types of students. That singular mock exam as well is something separate because, again, it appeals to different types of students. So we have different offerings depending on where you're at with your exam preparation cycle. Right, so anyway, going back to Scholarship Searcher, check it out and let us know how you go with it. Okay, so that's just a better view of it there. We've got a couple of schools down here that you can just click on. And the good thing about each of these entries is that it goes directly to the scholarship page. So you don't have to do any trawling. I've done all the hard work for you. And I mean, it helps me when I'm answering queries. So hopefully it will help you find opportunities for your children too. Okay, so we also have specific year level presentations coming up. So the feedback has been you would like to know what standards your child needs to reach for their specific year level, right? Because a lot of schools these days have a no homework policy. So a lot of the time, unless it's a NAPLAN year, parents often are left in the dark as to how their child is performing. And so a lot of parents don't really know what standards their child needs to have achieved by the end of that year. And so that's why we have produced these specific subject and year level presentations for you, so that you can gauge, you can have a bit of ballpark knowledge as to what your children need to know by the end of the year. So we're creating specific presentations outlining specific achievement standards that students are required to reach by the end of each year. So just join our mailing list for notifications. So even if you sign up to that free 5-week selective preparation course that's just on our scholarship searcher, you'll be in our mailing list and you'll get these notifications. Also, I encourage you to listen to podcast episodes as well as our YouTube channel for information on how to navigate the Australian education system. And in an upcoming presentation like this, I'll be going through the difference between scholarships, selective, accelerated programs, just so that you know and you have a pathway as to how to plan out the next couple of years for your child's education, if that's something that you're looking at doing. Okay. The other thing that parents are looking for is that you would like to know how your child is performing in class. So just going on from the previous section where we were just talking about not really knowing, how your child's performing until you get the school reports at the end of every semester. But I suppose at the end of every semester, you're given a snapshot. It doesn't really give you a lot of detail as to how your child's performing, and often that information is past information, and you can't really do anything with that information until the following year when they revisit those same concepts again. So, for example, if at the end of the semester you get a report that says that your child was having issues with fractions, there's nothing really that you can do about it at that point. Whereas what we have at Spectrum is an online portal for our parents and our students to log in each week. So we call it myspectrumtuition.com. And this is where you can log in each week and you can see what your child's quiz results are, okay, as well as any comments from the tutors on how to improve. So this is what it looks like here. So if you just go to myspectrumtuition.com, you just log in as a family, and then there will be a section where you can view results. So this is what it looks like. Every week there's a quiz result, okay? And the reason why we have that quiz every single week is to make sure that we're revising that work from the previous week, because research shows that students need to be exposed to content about 3 times in order to commit it to long-term memory, right? So we'll introduce it in class. The students will revisit it for homework, and then we'll then revisit it one more time for the quiz. All right. So we'll have all of these revision procedures in place just to make sure that students do commit that knowledge to long-term memory, and so it's also a good way to encourage your child to complete their homework every single week as well. So I don't know about you, but I remember when I was at school, whenever there was a test at the end of the semester, I mean, a lot of students just would never open up their books until the very end of the semester or the end of the term, when there would be that test, right? Whereas with this, there's a test every single week, so they're forced to revise their content every single week to prepare for this test, okay? And they're accountable every single week, and then those results are posted online for parents to have a look at. So we'll just have a look at some of these details here. So just say your child achieved 13 out of 18 for their quiz. So this gave your child a B mark. So there's also a ranking column as well. So the ranking column will show you how your child performed in relation to the other students in the class who also sat that assessment, right? So in this particular class, there might have been 10 students in the class, but only 6 results were collected. And that's because 2 students might have achieved 10 out of 10, 2 students might have achieved 8 out of 10, 3 students might have achieved 7 out of 10, and so forth, right? And so with this score of 13 out of 18, this was the 4th highest result in the class. So you can see that a B is pretty good. A B is a pretty good mark, right? So this student achieved a score of 13 out of 18, which was a pretty good score. But in relation to the other students in the class, they were ranked 4th out of 6. So they're actually towards the lower end of the class, meaning that this is a fairly high achieving class, right? So this is information that you actually don't get at school. You don't know how you're performing in relation to the other students who are in your class. And then it also provides you with real-time feedback and advice on how to improve. So here, Jason should better prepare for the spelling test. You know, so this seems to be an ongoing issue with Jason. And here, you know, we've suggested that Jason should revise the components of a fable and verb tenses. So every week, our tutors will update this by Wednesday. So then by Thursday, have a look, redo any questions answered incorrectly, and then that way, you know, you're just leaving no stone unturned, and it's not so overwhelming to go through the work each week. All right, and here he actually improved his spelling test results because we gave him feedback over a number of weeks. All right, so that's the My Spectrum tuition system. So Scholarship Searcher. Kaylee, can you type in Scholarship Searcher for Shilpa, please? Now, our online program. So a lot of students will, or a lot of parents have asked how our online program works. So I'll go through this now. Sorry, just getting... Right, so the way our online program, so this is the corresponding video lessons, right? So we have a simple, easy to navigate interface. And so there's no need to download any special programs. You simply can access it via a browser. You can watch it on your phone. You can watch it on the iPad. So, you know, it's all responsive as well. So the comprehensive course booklet, which will be provided as a printout with lessons that have been tested and refined for 20 years. So each booklet is accompanied by detailed video lessons, taking students through all aspects of the course while allowing students to learn at their own pace at a time that suits them. And I feel like this is such a powerful feature of the program. It's because, you know, in the past, we haven't been able to provide an on-demand service before. And so this way, it's incredibly convenient for students, parents, as well as the tutor as well. It provides them with an opportunity. If everybody understands their work, then they can really dig deep with the content on a week-by-week basis. The discussion can be a lot more fruitful, okay? And then students will get a lot more out of that course. So it's structured and organized so both students and parents know what to expect. So we include a couple of bonuses as well. So we have different schedules if you use the homeschooling, you know, if you're using Spectrum just for homeschooling, which some students actually do. We have, you know, different activities as well. So different activities to develop the students' higher order thinking. And we also provide detailed feedback on all work submitted via email. So this is just like a private tutor in your pocket. All right, so I'll add this in for you. There we go. So a common question that parents have as well is, how does the online program compare with the in-person classes? Just in case parents just want to do the online program and they're not able to make it to a face-to-face class because they might live interstate, overseas, etc. So our 40-week course can be completed either in person at one of our 9 locations around Melbourne or online using the same course material. So our dual learning approach will combine the benefits of both classes, of both modes, and classes can be completed online only if you can't make it to an in-person class. So just a side-by-side comparison. So with our course book, the hard copy will be provided for you and we will be delivering that to you. In terms of the lessons, we'll have a live tutor. With the online courses, it will be delivered via video lessons. Additional supports provided will be the video lessons for our in-person classes. And for our online-only students, we will be providing you with 3 free 30-minute private tutoring Zoom sessions by request. So if your child is watching the videos and they might not understand something because there isn't somebody that they can ask in real time, you can always request for a free 30-minute private Zoom, and that will be with a live tutor, right? But that will just be by request. In terms of correction, for our in-person students, they would submit it to the tutor and the tutor would provide feedback and then return the work to the students. In terms of our online students, this work will be submitted via email, right? So there are a lot of really amazing free scanning software tools out there. The one that I recommend is tinyscanner.com. Tinyscanner, which is an iPhone app. I think they also have an Android app as well. So it's for free. You can just simply take a photo of all of the pages that you want corrected, and then just from the app you can email it to the relevant email address. Right, and it actually sends it as a PDF document. It doesn't send it as a large photo. In terms of tracking of performance, so both will have access to the myspectrumtuition.com system. And in terms of our quizzes for our in-person classes will be paper-based, and our online classes can be online or paper-based. Any questions about the online and in-person comparison? Okay, our main benefits to our online classes only, we have the free private tutoring support, we do not provide for our in-person classes because you already have a live tutor who looks after you throughout the year. We also provide personalized video feedback, taking your child through the work that was corrected. So this is for our online only students. So once your work is corrected and we have the feedback for you, we'll record that as video feedback so that you can watch through and you can understand where the tutor was coming from with a lot of their corrections. You can also learn at your own pace as well. And it is a holistic and complete program that takes students through year prep all the way up to year 12, live at your own pace. So the question is online good for preparing for scholarship exams? Absolutely, especially for scholarship and selective, because our classes are very intense, okay? They're very intensive courses because for our scholarship students, we need to get students from a year 5 level when they join that course at the beginning of the year up to a year 8 level by the end of the year in order to be competitive on scholarship exams, right? And the way we would do that is we link topics together that make sense. So for example, the way we would teach a particular topic, so I'll give you an example that I often use. Total surface area is a very common scholarship and selective question, right? Because it involves a lot of different processes in one. And that is very much a year 8 concept. So in year 5, when students are in year 5, they often don't learn about total surface area. They often learn about perimeter, area of a rectangle, area of a triangle, area of a trapezium, perhaps. They might learn about 3D shapes, but they don't learn about total surface area. And so the way we would teach students total surface area in our scholarship classes is within the one class, we will revise times tables, right? So students in year 5 should know times tables by that stage. We then teach the students the area of a rectangle, which is just an application of your multiplication table. So it's just length times width, right? And then we then go through the faces of a three-dimensional shape. We get the students to count the faces of a three-dimensional shape, which they should have known from Year 3 curriculum or Year 4 curriculum. And then we go through total surface area. Okay, so for a Year 5 student, it doesn't seem like you're doing Year 8 straight away. Whereas if you can imagine just doing practice papers and then your Year 5 child just sees total surface area written as a word problem, they wouldn't know how to approach that. Okay, it would be difficult to know how to approach that. So that's how we teach. Students within our scholarship and selective courses. So in response to your question, with our online courses, we go through a lesson and students can pause, they can rewind, they can repeat, because it's exactly the same as a Spectrum tutor. You can see here that the way we shoot the lessons is, it's like your child is in the front row, they're looking at the tutor. The tutor is just teaching using a whiteboard, which is what they're familiar with. And we just take the students through the book that they would be doing in the live classes if they are signed up to the live classes. All right, so another question is, if you conducted lessons online and I'm sure that you also saved on running cost, will you pass those savings to the parents? Well, the online only classes are cheaper than our in-person classes, right? So there's that. And in terms of running costs, we actually have to have a dedicated tutor correcting every single aspect of your work, which is actually a lot more labor intensive than the in-person classes. Because with our in-person classes, for some activities where it's easy to correct, such as multiple choice questions, the students will correct, and then they will then let the tutor know what the incorrect questions were, and then the tutor will explain that. Well, we've been able to provide private one-on-one Zooms for students who have had issues. So what we've been doing throughout the lockdowns is making sure that the students do understand the work. And if there's any questions that the students might have, they just reach out to us. We organise a private one-on-one Zoom with them. And these Zooms are often valued at anywhere from $70 to $120 an hour, right? So that's what we had in place for our students when we were doing our online classes during lockdowns, which, nobody could really help. Okay, so at the end of the day, we needed the resources to make sure that that the students' work was all corrected, and they were given feedback on all of their work. So 3 sessions with the tutor by appointment only, is that per term? Yes, that is per term. How is the work marked via email and feedback given? Right. So as I mentioned just before, you just scan it through using an app like Tiny Scanner, which is just the easiest way to do it because it's just using your smartphone. The tutor will correct it on the PDF, and then they will then record a video saying, "Hi, John, thank you so much for submitting your work. It was great that you did this, this, and this, and these are areas that you can improve upon." And then they'll take you through specific feedback. All right, so hopefully that answers your question as to how we answer those questions via email. All right, so in terms of the 4th change, our updated fees for 2022. So for 2022, we have updated our fees. So for Prep to Year 12, it's normally, and this will include the live interactive classes, the video lessons, as well as the workbooks. So it's normally $850 for 2 subjects, but if you pay on the first day of the term, then you get a $50 discount to $800. And then if you can pay by the last day of the term in advance for the following term, then you get a further $50 discount to $750. At the end of term 1, you have the option to pay for the full year. So if you're able to do that, you get up to 1 term for free, right? So $750 multiplied by 3 is 2,250. If you wanted to do online classes only, the regular, so it's just one price. So it's normally $550 for one subject. If you wanted to do an additional subject, it's $100 more, which brings it to $650. And again, if you're interested in enrolling for the full year, you get up to a term for free. Okay, so that's $1,950, and that includes the video lessons, the workbooks, and 3 free private tutoring sessions per term. With our scholarship and selective courses, it's normally $950 for 10 weeks, but if you pay on the first day of the term, it's discounted to $900, and then if you can pay by the last day of the term in advance for the following term, then you get a further $50 discount to $850, and then again, you have the option to just pay for the super early bird rate first, and then at the end of term 1, so you have up until April to try out the entire term, and then you can then pay the balance for the full year. So it'll be $2,550, take away $850, and then that will be your balance for the year. If you wanted to do online only classes, the fee is $650 for one subject, and if you wanted to do an additional subject, then it's $100 more, which brings it to $750, and again for the full year is $2,250. So if you enroll for the full year for our scholarship and selective classes, you get the following bonuses. So not only do you get one term for free, but you also get a free $149 personalized discount code to download 3 full-length exam packages with fully worked solutions to practice your timing. So if you visit spectrumdigitalshop.com, you can have a look at what we're currently selling to help students prepare for exam packages. You can see what the reviews are for those packages. They're all, they've helped a lot of students over the years. And you also get a free $99 personalized discount code if you're asked to write a letter or sit an interview with the principal as part of the principal's discretionary category, right? So with the selective preparation, with the selective schools test, they have a rule called the 5% rule. So the maximum number of students who will be accepted from any one school is 5% of the year 8 students. So if there are 100 students at your school, at your child's school, then the maximum number of students who can gain entry to one of the selective schools is only 5 students, and all those students need to pass a test. So if you pass the test, but you didn't get accepted because of the 5% rule, then you're asked to write a letter, an application letter, and also sit an interview as part of the principal's discretionary category. So we've interviewed a lot of students over the years, gotten their responses, gotten questions that are often asked, we've also gotten activities that are given to students throughout that process, and we've put it together in a resource. Okay, so if you're asked to sit an interview with the principal or write a letter, then we'll help you through that process as well if you enroll for the full year, right? So that's another bonus that you would get. So if you enroll by the 11th of December, you can take advantage of all of the benefits of 2022. So that's our video lesson package at 2021 prices. So I'll go through that now. So if you enroll by tomorrow, then, and you're in grade prep to year 12 and your child's in grade prep to year 12, then it's normally $750 for 10 weeks. But if you pay on the first day of the term, it's discounted to $700. But the relevant price for you would be $650. So you can just pay the super early bird, or you can pay for the yearly price, right? So that's valid until tomorrow only. And you can see here that throughout this year, we had the combined face-to-face and online classes. So that was our video lesson package where people paid an additional couple $100 to access the video lessons as well as online, but next year we'll be giving it to you absolutely free, so it's actually less than this amount here. And we did provide those video lessons to students all throughout the year while we were in lockdown. With our scholarship and selective courses, if you can pay by tomorrow, it's $750 for the first term or $2,250, and you still get access to the video lesson package as well as the personalized discount codes. So how do you enroll? So if you're a new student and you haven't completed the free assessment yet, you simply just go to spectrumtuition.com to start your free online assessment, or you can register to complete an assessment in person. But the last day that you can complete that in-person assessment is tomorrow at our campuses that are open. Otherwise, you'll have to complete that online. So once you complete your free online assessment, you will receive a free report which will contain the information required to be able to select an appropriate class to start your free 7-day online trial. So if you click on that link on our website, spectrumtuition.com, to register for the online assessment, then after you finish, you'll get access to the 7-day online trial. So you'll also get a free report immediately following the submission of your assessment. So this student here was in year 6. So he completed the year 4 to year 6 test. So the way it works is the test will be broken up into three levels. Level 1 is equivalent to year 4. Level 2 is equivalent to year 5. And level 3 is equivalent to year 6. And the cutoff score is 7 out of 10 in order to join that class, right? So for this particular student, they were in year 6. They got 9 out of 10 for year 4, 8 out of 10 for year 5, and only 4 out of 10 for year 6. So for English, they would be placed into the year 5 class. That's what we would suggest for this particular student, okay? And so as opposed to a student just joining us in year 6 and then we place them into the year 6 class, that might not be suited to their level. So that's the thing about Spectrum, and what separates Spectrum from a lot of other places is that we do pinpoint the exact level that you're at. And if you wanted to drill down and see exactly which questions your child answered incorrectly, you can just click on that report, and then you'll be able to see which questions or which topics your child is having issues with. And so then we'll be able to see, we'll be able to see how we can strengthen those weaknesses. All right. And then for mathematics, this particular student achieved 9 out of 10 for year 4, 9 out of 10 for year 5, and only 5 out of 10 for year 6. So again, they're at a year 5 level, and this might have been because of COVID. Okay, so if we had just placed them into year 6, it would have been too overwhelming for them. Whereas what we believe is that it's important to place students into the right level of challenge, as opposed to just hurtling along and just really at the end of the day just resulting in frustrated students and parents. Okay, so we don't want that. We want everybody to be happy at all times, and this is how we would do that. Because, you know, for a student who has been struggling throughout the year, if you place them into a class that's too hard, then there's just nothing for them to grasp onto. Whereas if we place them into the appropriate class, then they're finally able to complete work that's at their level of challenge. They're able to gain that confidence, and then through those weekly assessments that we have, we'll then be able to see at what point we can then move them up to year 6, right? So we're able to not only pinpoint their level, but we're also able to track their performance over time. This is completely transparent. Parents get these results as well. So then, you know, when your child starts feeling quite confident with their work, maybe the following term, we can then move this particular student up to year 6, right? And then, you know, and before you sign up, you can just try it out using our online trial, right? So for this particular student, we've suggested year 5, so maybe they can try out year 5, and then they'll find that, you know what, it's actually pretty good, a pretty good level for me. Or they might try year 6, because you can try year 6 when you sign up for the free online trial. You don't have to choose the level that's selected for you. You can choose whichever level you want, and that's completely free for anybody who signs up to our online assessment. And you can do multiple levels as well, if you're so inclined, if you feel so inclined. So during this trial, your child can complete a week's worth of online classes in the comfort of your home. So you get the workbook, you get which you can download and print out yourself, and you get the video lessons as well. And then step 3, after you submit the online assessment results and you receive that report, then what you can do is just book a consultation where one of our staff members will actually walk you through your child's assessment results, go through next steps based on your child's strengths and weaknesses, and then we can then, talk you through those results and what will be the best option for your child moving forward. And for existing students, you can simply visit myspectrumtuition.com to complete your enrollment. So you can either log in as a family, so that's where you can view all of your past results. So just the other day, I had a conversation with a parent who hadn't logged in, and they saw several years worth of online results. So 4 years worth of online results, and we were able to see how their child had been progressing throughout that time, all the feedback, and it was great. If you don't have your login details and you want to enroll, then you can just simply enroll as a guest, or you can just reach out to one of the team and we can then reset your password for you. There's also an option for you to reset the password yourself, but if you're having problems, then just reach out to us. Alternatively, payments can be made via cash in person at one of our centres, direct deposit into our account so we can send you an invoice, credit card in person or online, or via 6 fortnightly instalment payments. But this is based on a credit approval because it's a buy now, pay later system. You'll be familiar with that, like Afterpay. But there's a 5% fee associated with that. So that's just something to keep in mind. But if you wanted to have that flexibility and to spread out your payments over 6 fortnightly payments, then that's also an option for you. So now I'll put it over to you. So if you've got any questions, please call 1-800-668-177, or you can email inquiries@spectrumtuition.com. Visit spectrumtuition.com to start your free assessment. And I do look forward to seeing you all hopefully in 2022. Now I'm going to just answer these questions that have come up in the chat. Now, let's go back up here. Yes. Now, can you start the online classes over the holidays? Absolutely. You can enroll online and you can get started over the holidays. We have tutors who are working all throughout the holidays. So, often the feedback is given very, very quickly. Kaylee's part of the team who looks after our online students. What we'll also do with our online only students is we actually reach out to you every single week, because often with online students, especially if you're doing it via video lessons, it can be quite an isolating experience. So that's why we have a dedicated staff member contacting you via phone every single week, just to check in, just to see where you're at. If you've got an easy question that you want to put towards the tutor that she can answer straight away, then we can do that. So it's a very proactive process, and you can definitely start over the holidays. So you just simply go to online.spectrumtuition.com, and so I'll just post it up in the link here in the chat here, online.spectrumtuition.com, where you can simply jump online and enroll. Now, what's another question that we have? What is the latest date for the early bird? That's tomorrow, the 11th of December. Okay, so you can enroll either in person at one of our centres or online. So just via the myspectrumtuition.com. So I'll post up that link as well, myspectrumtuition.com, and you can just enroll as a guest if you can't log in. Okay. Now, Sunil, thanks for the briefing. No worries. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us, Sunil. Now, Isha has asked, is scholarship package available for grade 4? We'll probably have to do the assessment for year 4. What I would recommend for students who are younger than year 5 preparing for a scholarship is that you do the assessment first so that we can pinpoint exactly what level they're at, because it's the worst thing for students to be placed into classes that are beyond their capability. And so then what we can do is we can then see if we can push them as much as we can in our regular classes, because as I mentioned before, with scholarships, they need to be at a very comfortable year 8 level in order to be competitive on a year 6 scholarship, when they're sitting that scholarship in year 6. So that's why, we would try and push students as much as possible in our regular classes, because they're a lot more detailed than our scholarship classes are very detailed, but it's packed in. It's very, very intense. As you can imagine, would be the case if any student had to go from a year 5 level to a year 8 level, right? And just one other thing to mention about the scholarship courses is that, the goal for us, of course, is to get students into scholarships, but that isn't possible. Okay, it's impossible to get every single student who prepares for a scholarship with us to get them into a place, because there are only a handful of scholarships per school. They're often worth a lot of money, especially with a lot of the private schools. They would cost in excess of $20,000, sometimes $30,000 a year. All right. So, but what we can say is that from that scholarship course, we can get students from a year 5 level to a year 8 level by the time they reach year 6. So it doesn't matter what school they end up going to, they will be miles ahead of any of their peers, and because at the end of the day, the goal is VCE, right? So that's what we're all doing when we're preparing students for scholarships. We're getting students into tutoring classes. It's to maximize your child's ATAR score at the end of the day, so that they can have choice as to which university course they sign up to. Right, so or they can be enrolled into, and so that's all that it is. So by making sure that all of our students can get from a year 5 level to a year 8 level, they're ahead of the pack, so that by the time they reach year 7, okay, so by the middle of year 7, that's when we start preparing our students for our selective courses. By the time we get to that point, students are often at a very comfortable year 9 level, right? So then we need to get our selective students to a very comfortable year 10 level by the time they sit their exam in year 8. So that's what our goal is. It's to make sure that students are ahead of the pack, so that they find school really, really easy. They find it quite straightforward. They find it very, they're very confident with their learning, and if there are any other opportunities that are presented to them by just going to scholarshipsearcher.com.au. So if you don't get into Melbourne High or McRob or Suzanne Corey or Nossal High because of the 5% rule, which is actually what happened with one of our brightest students. He missed out because of the 5% rule, but then he ended up getting a 75% scholarship to Haileybury instead, and he's incredibly happy there. The following year, he just went for the Melbourne High exam anyway, just to make sure that he could prove to himself that he could get in, and he did get in to Melbourne High, but then he ended up staying at Haileybury, and he's doing incredibly well. So, it's not the end of the road if your child does miss out on a scholarship or selective place. There are so many opportunities, and we've put them all together in the Scholarship Searcher. All right. So price for scholarship online course if paid by tomorrow. So with the online courses, it's just one price, because students will start from week 1 whenever they want. So it's usually $650 if you enroll in just one subject, either English or maths, and for an additional subject, it's $100 more. Okay, so that's what it is. You're welcome, Fazia. Thank you, Shantu, for joining us. Now, do you have any other questions? Are there any other questions that parents might have? Well, if there aren't any other questions, thank you everybody for joining today. I hope you found the discussion informative. Make sure that you sign up to our free 5-week courses. Check out our podcast. Check out our website for our blogs, and check out, watch out for any other information sessions just like this. Yes, Prasanna. If the child is in year 7, should they be enrolled into year 8 for next year, or will there be an assessment? Definitely do an assessment, because as you saw before, that student was in year 6 and they were not ready for year 6. It just showed that they were, that they weren't ready for year 6. And so we don't want to just place students into classes. You always have to have an online assessment result in order to enroll in classes at Spectrum. And that can easily be done tonight in your own time, just via the link. So we do invite you, if you haven't already done that, to complete that assessment, and then we'll try as much as we can to get back to you as soon as possible. So Vinayak has asked, do you get a student ID? Yes, you get, well, it's just the online portal. So once you have made payment and we've provided you with a receipt, then you'll receive your login details on that receipt. Okay, so often it's your surname, the last 4 digits of your phone number, and then your phone number that you've provided as your password. And and then you can then make that change whenever you like. But definitely get used to logging into myspectrumtuition.com. We've spent a lot of time developing that according to what parents need, and we're constantly developing that. But most importantly, you get the feedback that you probably haven't been receiving in the past, and so we're really happy to be able to provide that. Yes, you can do the assessment now online. So you just go to spectrumtuition.com and click here for your online assessment. If you're an existing Spectrum student, we'll probably look through your, if you're an existing Spectrum student, yes. If you were enrolled in year 7 this year and there weren't too many issues, then yes, definitely you can enroll in year 8 the following year. It's asking you to book into an assessment centre, because that centre will be dealing with your online assessment. You can complete the online assessment. If you were just wanting to do online classes, then you just click online, and that won't enroll you into any of those centres. How hard is the assessment? What grade is it meant for? So the way that our assessments work is, just say you're in year 9, right? So you would just, when you register for the online assessment, you would just select year 9, and then it would actually automatically place you into the most appropriate assessment for you, which will test you across several year levels. So that would be year 8. It would test you for year 8 to year 10, right? So level 1 for you in that case would be year 8, level 2 would be year 9, and then level 3 would be year 10. So then we would then see whether there are any gaps that exist from year 8, or whether we can actually push you beyond your existing year level to year 10, which has been the case in the past. Last time I was trying to do the assessment, it had 20 days and times. What does that mean? Do you have a time limit to do the assessment? How many questions are there? Yes, there is a time limit. Yes, you do have a time limit to complete that assessment. Yes, you get about an hour per subject, right? Now, you move into May 2022. That's probably because you've selected. So Shilpa has asked, can I get some help? It says there are no slots and I'm moving to May 2022. It's because our Hoppers Crossing campus is closed at the moment, and the only way that you can do an online assessment is, an in-person assessment is if you go to either Footscray, Hoppers Crossing, Broadmeadows, Oakley and Keysborough. They're the only ones that are currently open for in-person assessments. Otherwise, it will have to be online. Can I ask you, Shilpa, what year level your child is in? If you can just put it down in the chat. Year 5. Yeah, they can do an online assessment. So I think what you've done is you have booked in for an in-person assessment. So at the top of that page, there should be a blue button that tells you to just start an in-person assessment. Sorry, that just to start an online assessment. So see if you can find that blue button. So Viniac, you have said you were trying to do the assessment. Well, the thing is with the online assessment, it doesn't matter when you do it. You can do it online right now if you want to. So, yeah, you don't have to select a date. Yeah, so just get a link to the online assessment, no worries. So let me find that for you. Post up a link directly in the chat. What do you mean the tests all at once? Across the several year levels? Is that what you're asking, Vinayak? Internet's a little bit slow at the moment, but no, you have an English test and then you have a maths test. All right, so here it is. I'll just show you. So here is a direct link to the online assessment. So it's spectrumtuition.com/the-assessment. And then there's a blue button right up the top that says assessment registration. Okay, so you can just do that there. Let me know if you're having issues with that. You're welcome, Mike. Does anybody else have any questions? So book a time. All right, let me share a different screen then. I'm going to stop sharing this screen and then I'm going to share my other screen. Okay, and then I'll take you through what you need to do. All right, so did you get to this page? Let me just grab the chat again. Did you get to this page? Where it says book time. Now, let's go back to the assessment, all right? So spectrumtuition.com/the-assessment. You click on assessment registration and then you just enter your details. Is this where you're at? Okay. That's it. And so you'll just fill in your details here. So okay, and make sure that email address. So that's how you would be able to start your online assessment, because it will send it to a valid email address, and then you can then click on the link there when you're ready to start your English test and your maths test. So as soon as you click start, the timer will go off, and then you've got an hour to complete either the English test or the maths test. And you can't do this twice. So if you wanted to do it again, then you would need to register using a different email address. Screen is a little bit different, but does it have this screen, Shilpa? Okay. Also, I tried using one of the discount codes that I got from the 7-day trial, but it didn't work. So 7-day trial, the discount code only relates to if you're doing online only classes, not to our in-person and online. Okay, great. Okay, so Shilpa's there now. That's great. And Vinayak is good now as well. Anybody else have any other questions? Well, if you do have any questions, then please make sure that you just reach out to our team whenever you like. So 1-800-668-177. If you go to our contact page, you can book in a time to speak to somebody and we'll give you a call back. Otherwise, just send us an email to inquiries@spectrumtuition.com. And okay, so for the centre, do I choose Hoppers Crossing? Yes, you do. So you choose the centre that you want to belong to. And then if we have in-person classes again, then we will reach out to you. Okay. Which number is the best way to call so far? 1-800. Yeah. Choose the 1-800. It's probably the best. It will get you to where you need to go as soon as possible because we always have people manning that. So it's 1-800-668-177. You can, you can select which campus you would like to speak to. So if you don't belong to Footscray, Hoppers Crossing, then you can choose St. Albans, Keysborough, Oakley, Broadmeadows, Brunswick. Okay, they're all of our centres, and Thomastown as well. All right. Oh, accidentally sent that to Shilpa only. So that's 1-800-668-177. Okay. But otherwise, thank you very much. I can't wait to see you as well, Vinayak. Vinayak also did our revision courses, and so so it's really, really good that you're joining our classes, and we're very, very lucky to have you. So if anybody else has any questions, then you can stay on, and I'm happy to stay on and answer them. Otherwise, have an amazing weekend, and I look forward to seeing you all in 2022. Fantastic. I'm so glad that it was helpful for you. All right. Thanks, everybody, for your time, and have a fantastic evening. Thank you, Shilpa. Thank you, everybody, for joining.